welcome to Freshly Served, the healthy vegan cooking show. I'm Heather, and tonight we're gonna make guacamole. So anyway, what we're gonna do, start with avocados, and to make guacamole, they absolutely need to be ripe. Otherwise, they're not gonna mash very well. So what I did with these ones, because often avocados in the store don't show up the ripest, is I bought these, let's think now, 5 days ago. Okay, 5 days ago, these were green. They are now very dark brown, which is what you're looking for, and when I push them, they're quite soft. So that's excellent. To cut an avocado, there's a big pit in the middle, and what you want to do is cut into the avocado. You're most likely not going to be able to cut through the pit, so what you do is you just cut all the way around, and then give it a twist, and it comes apart like so. Okay, the pit is going to be on one side, and this pit has just a little bit of green stuck to it. That means it's not quite fully ripe, but it's pretty close. If it's not ripe at all, you're not going to be able to twist it apart. And an interesting tip, if you need to only use half the avocado, which isn't the greatest because then it's going to lose nutrients out of here where there's no skin, and it'll go brown. But if you leave the pit in the avocado, somehow the avocado does not turn quite as brown. So to get the pit out, what you do is whack it with your knife, not too hard, don't want to cut yourself. No. But don't get the end of the pit because that doesn't work so well. You want the very middle, and then twist the pit and it'll come off on your knife. This, of course, only works if it's ripe. And how many avocados you use depends on how much guacamole you want to make. So again, we're cutting it along all the way around the circumference, I suppose that would be, of the avocado. Give it a twist, and it comes apart. And this one also, not fully ripe, but you can see that the pit in there is brown, and the less green stuff there is stuck to it, the better. Give it a whack with your knife, give it a little turn again, and you'll see the pit loosens. Once you have the pit out, to get the skin off, very easy, you just cut it into a quarter, and then the skin will just peel off like so. Sometimes it's a little bit brittle and it'll break, but that's fine. Once all of your avocados are sectioned and in a bowl, you're going to need to mash them up. You can use a fork, or I want to get a little bit heavy duty with them today, so I'm going to use my potato masher. And like I said, they will only mash properly if they are fully ripe. And the pit will only come out easily if they're fully ripe, and basically they're only good for you if they're fully ripe. So make sure you wait until they are nice and soft, and then you can go. Now a lot of people are afraid of avocados because they do have a very high fat content, but let me say this in their defense. Number one, they are a whole food, so they're a much better source of fat than an oil because they don't have the chance to have gone bad by having the oil separated out from the rest of the food. Secondly, the type of fat that they have in them is a good type of fat. It does not raise the type of cholesterol that causes heart disease. So, once you get this all mashed up, then we're going to add seasonings. And basically from here, you can do whatever works for you. Now for me, I like lots of garlic. So I'm gonna add a bunch of garlic. You can add a member of the onion family. A lot of people use red onions, but I just can't stand to eat them raw. So what I'm gonna do is add some chives, because I have some beautiful fresh ones. Green onions, also nice. I like those raw. If you like onions, go for it. Sweet onions are a little bit less intense than the red ones. I also love lime and citrus, so I'm going to use this little lime. And then for seasonings, oh, a lot of people also like to put tomato in here. I'm not going to do that today just because I don't feel like it. And then seasonings, and yeah, you can just feel free to play with this however you want. So I'm going to start with the garlic. Got my garlic ready, and I'm going to press it in here so that I don't get any big chunks of garlic. So you can see it comes out the other side, nice and neat. While I was peeling my garlic cloves, I was thinking a little bit further on the subject of fat, and also wanted to mention that you need some fat in your diet, okay? A lot of people these days forget that, but your body needs to have some fat in order to do what it needs to do to live. So the best way to get that is through whole foods like avocados. And fat is not what makes you fat. Too much fat makes you fat. Too much carbohydrates, especially refined carbohydrates, make you fat. But there's no need to be fat phobic, is all I'm saying. Okay, garlic in. Next, lime. Zest is one of my favorite things. It's just the very outer skin of the citrus. You can get these nifty little gadgets called zesters. I actually got mine for free from Phil's aunt, but they're very cheap. They have them at the thrift store. You can grate your citrus, but it's kind of frustrating. So nearly as much fun. I mean, look at how much fun I'm having right now. Yay, zest! Okay, put that in there. Chop your lime in half. And then to juice the lime, because the juice is almost as good as the zest, I just take a strainer, set it over my bowl, shove the zester into the flesh of this lime, wiggle it around, get all that juice out. And you'll notice that my lime was really, really small. That's fine, because you know what? That just means that the flavor is more concentrated and there's not as much water. When you see those really massive limes, a lot of the time when you squeeze them, there's a lot of water, but it's not as limey. Stir that around. So I love the smell of lime. You can use a lemon if you prefer. I like the lime, or you can leave them out entirely. I noticed, I did a student exchange when I was younger in Mexico, and I noticed that they always use lime. They very rarely use lemon. Okay, next up are my chives, and I'm using these because I got a ton of them from the garden. They were growing a little bit out of control. You don't need to use any one from the onion family if you don't wish to. I don't normally actually use any onion in my guacamole, but like I said, I had a whole ton of chives, so I'm gonna use them. Once you've got all the solid stuff mixed in here nicely, then the next thing you can add is the seasonings and salt. Okay, if you're not eating salt for whatever reason, you can leave it out, but I'm just gonna tell you that salt really brings the flavor of the avocados out, so I highly recommend putting some salt in there. And what I've used here, this is my grinder. It has part salt and part kelp crystals in there. And what that does is it gives it a salty flavor without so much salt. So you could also try that, add some dried kelp or some dried dulse or something like that. Give it a salty flavor. Got some black pepper, got some cumin, and I would normally put a pinch of cayenne in here, but because Phil and I are taking this on a picnic, my parents and the two of us are going to go for a hike, and my dad is really not a spicy person. I'm not either, but I like a little bit, but he doesn't like much at all, so I'm going to leave it out. All right, all set to go. Guacamole, very easy. I don't usually get too strict with recipes, but guacamole is one where you can just go nuts and do whatever you like. You could throw different flavors in here. I wouldn't really recommend herbs. They probably won't go very well, but there you go. There's the base. Do with it what you will. One thing, I'm taking this on a hike tomorrow, and the lime juice is critical to prevent the browning of the avocado. So if you're eating it right away, you can leave out the lemon or the lime, but if you're storing it, I would highly recommend putting some citrus in there. Citrus has vitamin C, which is an antioxidant, which prevents the browning or the oxidation of the avocado. So you can find the recipe, such as it is, at healthyveganrecipes.net. I'm Heather, and this is Freshly Served.